Welcome to Healers Talk Healing, the podcast where we gather to explore the art and science of holistic healing, uncovering the secrets to a happier, healthier you. I'm your host, Nina Ganguli, and together we will delve into the intriguing world of holistic healing, delving into the mind-body connection, ancient wisdom, and natural remedies. Get ready for enlightening stories, thought-provoking expert interviews, and practical tips that will empower you to unlock your true potential and embrace a vibrant, balanced life. Whether you're an experienced wellness enthusiast or simply curious about the power of healing, join us on this exhilarating journey as we share the wisdom and insights that can truly transform your life. It's time to embark on a voyage towards a happier, healthier you. So, without further ado, let's dive into the captivating world of Healers Talk Healing. Welcome to our inaugural podcast episode of Healers Talk Healing, featuring the remarkable Lynne Herod-DeVergis, the visionary founder of the Miracles Directory. Lynn's journey is a captivating blend of spiritual depth and practical wisdom, shaped by over 30 years in the metaphysical realm. As an esteemed energy healer, teacher, and spiritual mentor, she specializes in guiding individuals on transformative self-development paths. Lynn's commitment to spiritual growth and helping others started in her early teens and has been the cornerstone of her life's work. Her journey includes significant professional achievements in economics and banking, yet she has always remained true to her spiritual calling. Today, Lynn stands out as the heart and soul behind the Miracles Directory, a platform she created to connect, inspire, and uplift those seeking spiritual and personal growth. Her unique approach combines deep metaphysical insights with real-world experience, guiding people towards realizing their fullest potential in both their personal and professional lives. Join us as we delve into the inspiring world of Lynne Herod-DeVergis, a true luminary in the field of spiritual and self-development. Discover how the Miracles Directory and Lynn's expertise can empower you to design the life you've always dreamed of.
I was thinking of what we would talk about today, but I've had very little sleep, and my aunt's in the hospital, and I don't know what kind of condition she's in right now. But I was just going to say, when you have that energy of I don't wanna, that's resistance, and it often is more of a feeling than it is. It's we call feelings emotions, but we spoke about that before. It's more of a feeling in that moment in time, but it has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that your your place of passion in that moment is maybe to stay in bed nice and warm and cozy.
Stay nice and cozy in the bed.
And the passion is stronger than, oh, I gotta get up and exercise, or
Yeah,
whatever it is, right?
the noise is much louder than my want to live to 100 years old, for sure, in that moment.
In that moment,
Right.
right,
And so,
right.
so welcome everybody. We have decided to press record in the middle of our conversations because they start off so powerfully. And then today, Lynn said, just press record. Let's just start. So we've started. You're here with me, Nina Ganguli, and the esteemed, wonderful CEO of Miracles Ultimate Wellness Resources, Lynne Herod-DeVergis. And we're talking about trusting self in all of the healing work that I believe that I've done. If I'm when I'm sharing, is all about creating, well, I used to think it was finding my authentic self. And now maybe it has always been about that, but also trusting that authentic self after years of being told who I should be, how I should act, what I should think, whether it's by parents or friends or society. I'm in that space now of discovering who I am and then trusting who I am, trusting myself to do what I say I'm going to do, being authentic, understanding what that is. It's interesting because the way I see it, it's like I'm growing up I'm coming
Yes.
out of this teenage girl syndrome, becoming a mature woman, as a friend, as a daughter, as a mother, as a wife. Boy, have I been immature in my marriage for sure. Every time I look, that 15-year-old girl is like, she shows up as soon as you try and tell her what to do or what to think. Um, and it's interesting that what you're saying about, well, it's in that moment, in the moment of, nah, I don't wanna, it's the giving into that rebellion, or losing focus, for me, losing focus of what it is that I'm out to do.
But
And
the full goal is, or the full purpose of what you're moving toward. Sure.
yeah,
Sure. And the reality is being your authentic self is something that everyone is all the time. So all of this talk about, oh, I have to be my authentic self. I have to find my authentic self. Okay, I have to find myself being a woman of the age I am. No, you just are, right? And so it's like you said, it's trusting who you are. And we all know that from birth to, and it's a continuum throughout our life, we are constantly being programmed for various things. And then as we continue to grow and become more mature, we move from 15 to 17. And as we go through that process, then we think, well, maybe the way I was thinking at that 15-year-old self isn't really real anymore, because you have experiences, you have um, other things that you have been told, that you have done, that you have shared, that you've experienced. And so at those junctures, you are, okay, I guess I have to find my real authentic self. No, you're being authentic at that time. You are still your authentic self. But when you move into those places where, I'm going to say this, I have to exercise, I have to eat the right foods, I have to this, I have to that. It puts us into a place where we start believing that that's exactly what we need to do in order to make the changes we have to make. And the truth is, when you can, in that moment, you feel what you feel, be your authentic self, and trust in where you are at that moment, you may discover, I don't really have to exercise like that. I really don't have to eat or eliminate certain foods. I really don't have to anything. What I can do is just be in this moment and experience what I'm experiencing. And oh my gosh, the covers feel so warm and cozy because it's cold outside. And you know what? I can give myself this moment in a very authentic place to do that. And then when I move, I will get up and I will then choose to do the things that I feel would be self care, would be beneficial for my moving forward, that I can be in gratitude about. And as you start doing that, then joy comes. There's like an internal joy that no matter what you feel, that joy is always going to be present. It's like it's deep, but it's always there. And it always reminds you, you're being authentic. You're doing what you need to do. You're where you need to be. Stop sweating it.
oh, it's like you're in my brain about the, like, okay, I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to reconnect to, for me it's like reconnect to the bigger goal for myself, because
Hmm.
you know there's a constant chatter in here, and I think everybody deals with that constant chatter, whether it's you know moving you forward, keeping you still, whatever it is. There is this constant I have to, which then means, like, it's not a choice if you say you have to.
Right. You believe it's not a choice.
And it's so funny because it's the thing that I've created. I've created the schedule. I've decided this is what I want. It's all about me. And, if anyone has heard me talk in any other place, I talk about that rebellious me that I am, who most of the time, whenever I put some sort of something in place, I'm like, I don't want to. I put these 2 days aside to do this. I don't want to. And there is that piece of me, the grown-up part of me, the more mature part of me, the one that's more committed to I get to, this is going to be, the end result is amazing, that gets to also step in and be like, hey, I get you don't want to. It's funny because my brain for the longest time I didn't speak to myself that way. I didn't acknowledge that I don't want to.
Okay. And most of us don't, because why? You're not supposed to have that attitude. You're not supposed to think that way.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you do, because I go into a lot of I don't want tos, there are many things that, like all of us, I fully receive absolute pleasure in doing. And then there are those things where it's like, but I don't want to do that part. I don't want to do that now, whatever it is. But the reality is, don't you find that even when you don't want to, once you allow yourself to really move into that place and no longer resist it and trust who you are in the experience, it's like, oh my God, I got such a healing from doing that. Or it was so wonderful. Oh, I feel so much better.
100%. The amount of time I spend in arguing with myself and convincing myself is in that same amount of time, in the same amount of time, I do the thing that I said I didn't want to do. And then I do, there's something that you said that's so, I don't know what the right word is, but you hit the nail on the head. It's like that, it brings you joy. So then you go back into a state of joy. And you can pat yourself on the back and do whatever you need to do to say, hey, yeah, you did that.
Absolutely.
And that's where that trust, you begin to trust yourself, or I'm talking about me. I begin to trust that, oh, I'm going to my natural way of being is I don't want to, and I can't do that. And I don't want to.
Okay. That's not really your full natural way, but
Usually the first time something comes to me that I don't want to do, or I find it remotely, my brain thinks, oh, that's going to be too hard, too much effort, too much time. This is how my brain operates. And the time I have in the past spent ruminating about, I don't want to, and I can't do that. And when I put that aside and I say, okay, I'm not arguing with you anymore. We're just going to do this.
Well, you know what you can do? Everything you're thinking in terms of what you can't do and the arguments that you have with yourself, just record it. And then when something comes up, you don't have to think about it. Just hit play or replay.
And hear
And then that
myself.
way, and then you're like, oh, okay, I've just argued with myself. Okay, I don't have to do that anymore in my head, because it's right there.
It's right there.
It's right there.
It's an interesting, I always find it quite fascinating the way our brains operate, or the things that we say to ourselves, and how we try to convince ourselves that we really don't want to do something, or we really can't do something. And one of the things that I do is I've coined the term cantaholic. Many years ago, about 10 years ago, I wrote a book called Confessions of a Cantaholic.
I really like that. I've never heard you use that term in all the time that I've known you. So this is interesting.
I'm a recovering cantaholic.
A recovering cantaholic. Okay. And most people are cantaholics.
Yeah, and you don't realize the power in those thoughts, and the choices that you make. I'm rereading the 4 Agreements and reminding myself about, well, he calls it a dream state. We can talk about the matrix and we can go into all kinds of discussions, but everything we see and feel and experience is everything that we have created. And you've spoken about this too. in our past discussions, which is you can choose to see a world full of possibility, or you can choose to see a world full of obstacles, and I can't.
Yes.
And
Yes.
for a very long time, that's the world. That was the view for which I saw the world.
Mm-hmm. And so many people, the what you're talking about and what you experience, what similar to things that I've experienced, although I don't experience it quite in the same way. um, but everyone goes through these different types of processes, internal processes. And I've not read the Four Agreements, but it is true. You can, and that's part of our personal power, always make the choice on how you choose to see, think about, act, and do in the world and within yourself. That is just that's our strength. That's our superpower. It's just that we have been programmed to believe that we're not able to access it or fully tap into it, or, oh, okay, there has to be effort in order to make that work. Oh, no, I need to struggle to get there, or whatever the beliefs are. And it's not just because of what we've been told, it's because of what we see, it's because of what we've experienced in different ways, it's because of and when I say what we see, authority figures and other figures when we're young, what they've dealt with, what they've gone through, how it's affected us, how we've dealt with it from a feelings level, all of that. But we always still have, of course, the choice. A friend of mine asked me last night, we were chatting, and so she has a wonderful group. We get together every 2 months. And she said, I'm going to ask everyone in the group this time what their uh, uh, what makes them joyful. And I was thinking about that. And this piggybacks a little bit into what you were talking about. When one is in a state of joy and you can find that pocket in every moment that allows you to experience joyfulness, then the canaholic stuff goes away, right? It
Right.
just, you cannot be, or let me put it this way, it, two forms of energy cannot be in the same space exactly at the same time in the same way. Something has to give somewhere.
Mm.
And so if you are experiencing your joyfulness in every way possible, then you're able to see and choose from that perspective of, I feel uncomfortable with this, but I know that I can do something about that. I can choose differently. There is a solution. There is a step that can be taken. I just need to, for this moment, be in a place of joyfulness. And so, how do you get into joyfulness? Well, it might be thinking about all those wonderful things. I hear Julie Andrews and The Sound of Music singing in my head right now, all of the wonderful things, right? So we can think about those things in the moment, just kind of make that shift or that little adjustment. We can also move into a place of connecting with what it is we truly choose to see ourselves being in the next moment and the next moment and all those moments that lead up to next month, next year, 10 years from now. Okay. And experience the joy in that. We can tap into how we want to experience ourselves
Mm.
and how we want others to experience us as well. And so there are all these different ways. And so when she was asking me that question last night, I had a pat answer for it. But this morning in meditation, I'm always in meditation, some one way or another. But this morning in meditation, what came up was, I experience joy most of the time because I am in my head and in my being always saying, "Ooh, I am so grateful for."
Mm.
It has become such a habitual habit. That's redundant, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I pause. I'm like, anyway, it's always being in that place of gratitude. I'm so grateful that we're able to have this conversation. I'm so grateful that in this conversation, we and anyone else listening, for those that are in that space, are able to grow and and learn and gain something from it. I am, grateful for um, being able to be in a nice warm environment right now and not in a cold blizzard. It's like there's so many different things. You're not in a cold blizzard.
I'm not
It
in a
might be
blizzard, but it's cold.
outside. It might be outside, but I guarantee you where you're sitting right now, it's not cold, right? So you give thanks for that. That's what I'm saying. And
Yes.
so um those are ways to really be in a place of joy. So then what are you joyful for? And as I was in my process, I'm like, oh, I'm joyful every time I see a butterfly emerge from a cocoon. I'm joyful when I see someone who may have been in a place of anger or grief or despair, move through that and find that place within them where they are joyful and or they're at peace. I experience joyfulness when I can just sit and have a glass of wine and watch a great movie with my husband. It's like there are so many ways to experience joyfulness. So I believe, and to be grateful for all of those moments. So I believe that when you go into a place where you're like, I can't, I don't wanna, no, I just don't want to. You can, in that moment, say, I am so grateful that I can even choose not to. You
Oh
know
my
what I
gosh,
mean?
you're so right. I just had an aha moment because there are moments when my eyes open. Most of the time that I don't wanna, and I can't, usually happens when my eyes open and my brain turns on and thinks about all the things that have to get done throughout the day.
Hmm.
But one of the things I have been missing, and I'll just tell one on myself, is to realize I actually am so blessed that I get the choice to say, I don't want to do this right now.
Hmm.
Because many people, they don't have the choice, so to
Hmm.
speak,
Yeah,
for, oh, I have XYZ things that I need to get done. I don't have to do it at 8 in the morning if I don't want to.
that's true.
I could literally do it at noon or some other time, so long as I
Late at
am
night.
meeting
Mhm.
the requirements of and meeting deadlines and doing the things that I have given my word to doing, so long as they're getting done. Not everyone has that ability or that opportunity. And I am truly grateful. I am truly grateful for the flexibility that I have in my life and the support systems
There you go. Yes.
that allow me
Yes.
that flexibility,
Hmm.
even the way that we work together. I am so grateful because
Hmm.
I've been in a place where I wasn't able to work the way that I work best.
Hmm.
So it is something to be said about, yes, okay, I might not wanna, you know. And I remember going through a training program where the leader of the classroom was saying that is her way of being almost every single moment of her day. She just wants to be in her pajamas and watch
Uh-huh.
TV and, not try and transform or change the world or be a leader. And that's okay too. That's
Mhm.
okay if that is
It
just
absolutely
what
is.
your natural state of being is like. I just want to be on a beach and have a Mai Tai, which is my natural state. It's
Yes,
like
I know that's your
beach with Mai
now
Tai.
that is your authentic self.
On the beach. Like anytime someone says go to your happy place, I'm on a beach. Doesn't
Hmm.
always have to be with the Mai Tai, but I am definitely on the beach with the sun on my face. And
Hmm.
I do get many, many opportunities to live my life there. And so let me just go back again and say what she was saying is like, you can have that running in the background still and say, hey, that's that is just you just want to be on a beach. Okay, great. And there's
And
no but,
right.
no anything else. And,
Hmm.
there's also a part of you, or for me, there's a part of me that
Hmm.
aches to be of service.
Hmm.
I can be on the beach, but that at some point, even my mind starts being like, okay, now I'll do something else.
Well, and that's also the other aspect. Imagine yourself lying on the beach, and for those that are listening, imagine yourself being in a place you're doing something that you love, and you do it for a day, and oh, it's wonderful. And you do it for 3 days, and like, wow, yeah, this is still good. And you do it for a month, and you do it for 3 months, the same thing. And you do it for a year, and you do it for 2 years. The truth of it is, at some point, you'll go, okay, really, I'm done with this now.
Because we're growing and dynamic human beings. I mean, we really don't love homeostasis. I think like that whole like
That's true.
that
That's
static,
my
right? Like
point. Yes.
our bodies are constantly like we could be lying on the beach, yes, and do the same thing every day, but something inside of us is constantly continually
Hmm.
changing and morphing and doing whatever it's doing. So you're right. Because I remember praying so hard. I want a specific job. I want this job. I want this job. It was an internal job and I did everything I knew I needed to get that job.
Hmm.
And I was so happy. It was so wonderful. And fast forward 10 years later, and I was like, I hate this job. I don't want this job anymore. I was like, and I remember saying to God at the time, I'm like, I'm sorry, God. I know I said I really wanted this, and I'm so grateful that I got it, but now it's time for something else.
Hmm.
Now
Hmm.
it's time for something else. And it's okay. All of
It's
that is
it
okay.
is okay. And I was just going to say that when you really wanted that job and you got the job, that was the job for you. That's what you were supposed to experience. Now, let's go into internally your authentic self that speaks to you, that guides you from your heart, from your mind, and the balance and harmony between the two. And when you ask for that and it shows up, you can also determine, well, how long am I supposed to be here?
Mm,
How long am I to experience this before I need to move on to something else or another place? And I guarantee you, you will speak to that, which also means you will have, if you don't go into resistance like I did, you will have an opportunity to enjoy where you are, be grateful for where you are, knowing that that experience in that way has a certain expiration date. Okay, you may not even know that where you are now with the job is going to morph into something else that, oh my God, it's just, I have to get out of it. So before you get to that point, yourself may say, okay, you've got 6 years here, and then time to move on. And you may feel, why, this is the conversation with yourself, right? Why am I thinking that? Why am I feeling that way? Does that make any sense? I don't know. I don't even know what's going to happen 6 years from now. What I envision where I'm going to be is as an executive VP, da la 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 la. Okay. And yet what your true self says 6 years is the length of time for this experience, because I have something more expansive, something greater, something different for you, and this is part of the step that's going to get you where you're really needing to go. And so if you do that and don't resist, and I have been the queen of resistance. I don't say I don't, I'm not a cantaholic, but I was a resistaholic. And so, uh, when there's that point where you just give into it, then it's like, oh my God. And that's where also, not only is there joy, but that's where flow happens.
Mm.
That's where real flow happens. You don't even have to try to do something. You can have the thought connected to your true self in that moment. You have the universal mind that knows it to be true. All of this comes into balance and into harmony, and then things just start popping off. It's like within hours, days,
Mhm.
things happen. They just keep happening. So that's why I wanted to share, when you were talking about you love the job, you asked for it, and then, oh, wait, I don't think so. um, to avoid those moments of I don't think so. How did I get myself here? Why did this happen to me? Well, but when you are in gratitude, it's a moment of, and how long is this going to be this way? When will it be time to pivot? And you may not get the exact time, but you will receive a deeper knowing, a sense, the visceral experience, however you get it, that, oh, this is good for 3 years.
Mm.
Or
It's
whatever it
interesting.
is.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, and it's interesting because I think at year 7, I heard in my mind 10 years.
Hmm.
10 years.
Yes, at some point you're going to get it.
10 years. And I'm not kidding you, almost to the date of 10 years, about 2 months before, 2 or 3 months before 10 years.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, I had to make a decision whether I was going to stay or I was going to take an offer that I couldn't refuse. And so, it led me to where I am now today. And had I not taken that offer, or, had I stayed, I would have been a very unhappy, probably very sick human.
Yeah, I was going to say your body would take on so much of the disharmony
Mhm.
that and as we say, diseasiness or
Mhm.
disease, that it would have manifested itself in your physical body, also your emotional body. So, and who needs that? So I'm just kind of sharing little tidbits on what we can do when we tap in, and that can mean at a time of reflection when you wake up in the morning. It can be a meditation, it can be taking some breaths, it can be just allowing yourself to be open to the messages that come from within and that the universe want to share with you. And so, and the more that you practice that, and that's something that's important for you to trust yourself to
Mhm.
receive. That's where trust comes in. Can I trust that what I'm receiving is true? And if you trust that it is, it's amazing how, again, you're more in sync with, what's happening. And then all the can'ts become, oh, not only are they cans, but they are will do. They are
Mhm.
absolute. They are, oh, have done. Oh, that's what they become.
And it's so funny that you say that, because I remember someone telling me that's really how your brain works. Like, because I would never know, because you do this and this and this, and they just see the outside. And, so I want to share that with people, because you may see a powerful, strong person around you and not realize that, they are in their brain saying, I can't do that. No one's going to listen to this. This is not good. Like, no. and and you work beyond it, right? You do begin to trust yourself or trust
Absolutely.
the process, or you said you're a resistaholic, and this, what you resist persists. So
Mhm.
until there's no other options. But I will say from experience, and what you're teaching and sharing with us today is, when you trust the process and
Mhm.
trust yourself in the process,
Mhm.
because many of us who, when we do step into listening to ourselves, listening to our intuition, connecting to our higher selves, I still do this. Is that me? Is that just my conscious, like, is that just my ego talking? Or is that like my innards? Am I trusting my innards? Is that voice, like, is that my voice? Is that the voice of the universe? You know what I mean? And then we don't trust that. We don't trust that we can trust it. And it's this vicious cycle of insanity. But
Okay.
when you do intercede and be like, okay, everybody, shh, because there's many of them in my head. So everybody, shh, just shh, just do,
Um,
take, be the next thing, like, or the thing that you are right now.
exactly.
Usually, usually, actually, I feel a lot lighter when I can
Mhm.
just say, okay, I'm saying this right now. I've never said it everyone, but truly, it's like a million different voices in my head. Everyone,
Mhm.
quiet.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
be quiet.
And the reality is, there's a purpose for the ego, there's a purpose for the consciousness, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the superconscious, which is where spirit dwells. There's a reason why the heart and the energy of the heart is even more powerful than that of the brain.
Mm.
Okay, and why and how they make up the energy field. There's a reason for all of that. Do we need to understand all of it? Not necessarily. We think it helps us in some cases, and the way some people process it does, but not necessarily. All we need to know is that we are full integrated beings. We are full integrated beings that are able to make a choice. And if we move out of resistance, everything else flows. And that's it. It's really just that simple.
Yeah, that sounds
Nothing
simple.
complicated about it. It takes a minute to get there, though,
I was
because we have
gonna
to
say
go through all of
practice.
our stuff, but it's interesting because I find myself in a particular situation this month, which I know you know about, that I'm, uh, um, working through. And yes, my brain says I really am ready to, like, do these things. And yet at the same time, it's like, but now is not the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It shall be, it is when it is. And so don't be in resistance. Just continue to do what it is that you're doing, and it will manifest. So it's just a way to flow through all of that. So I don't have a lot of the angst and the what have you. I do get stuck a little bit on certain vibrational energies. Yes, I do. I'll admit that. But it doesn't mean that that can't change or shift or morph, you know, in a different way.
And I think that's
I'm not
important to
I'm
know.
not going into specifics right now, but it's it's really about being able to flow.
Yeah, and you know what? One important thing for our listeners is to understand that you don't have to know how. And
That's true.
there are people in the world that can support you, that can help you. I mean, that's part of what we're here to do in conversation, so you can expand your mind and your thoughts, as
Hmm.
well as, you know, we have a wonderful online site that has healers on it through, the Miracles Ultimate Wellness resources.
Hmm.
You can find someone to help you. You can listen to the podcast. You can watch our experts. And I think that's important to say too, that none of this is work that you have to do alone. While it's all an inside job, it is
Yes.
work that you have to do. Someone else can't do the work for you.
Right.
Someone else can't build trust for you.
Mhm,
There has to be the willingness for you to want to.
mhm,
And I'll say that is one thing that I know about myself. I even though I don't wanna comes and I resist and I can't,
mhm.
but overarching all of those thoughts is always the willingness to
Yes.
try to
Yes.
overcome, to try to, be the best version of myself because that's what I want. I'm not saying everyone has to walk around me like, I want to be the best version of myself. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
If you have something that you want to do, somehow you want to show up in the world,
Mhm.
it's it's not as easy as us having a conversation and magically you walk away and all of this stuff works. You have to do the work.
You do have to do the work. You do, and sometimes the work. Okay, let me back up a little bit. When you have that sincere, true desire, as you do, as I do, and so many of our listeners do, to grow and to transmute energy. Transmuting is like transmuting anger into love. So just so people understand what I'm referring to. So when there's the desire to be in that place of growth in these various ways, yes, it is important to consciously choose and make choices where you are on that path and doing the work. But as it is so ingrained, as it is so your core, your real authentic self, you will grow even unconsciously. And when you hear maybe a conversation like what we're having now, or you hear so many other wonderful people and healing heroes out there, and you find that, wow, I just heard this, and all of a sudden, things changed. I didn't have to do any work. Well, the reality is, you've been doing the work the whole time. You may not have been conscious of it, and you were ready for that cherry to be popped. And somebody said something, or you did one little exercise, and bam, it happened. And so, and we all have those kinds of experiences, as well as the ones that are like, oh, it's so hard. But the hardness, the struggle, all of that is nothing more than a lack of trust, being in resistance, not wanting to. It's all of those different things. I don't know if I can. It's all of that stuff that creates the struggle to begin with. And what I'm saying is put down that sword,
Mm,
take a deep breath, find that place or that space within you where you recognize joyfulness. Be grateful for that in the moment. And then allow yourself to make a choice when you ask the question, how long in this experience? What next to take me where I want to go? How can I for the solution? And then you'll find that things start to come more into harmony with each other. I want to tell you something else too. I've been talking a lot about programming and all of that. I think another thing that many of us do when we go into all this internal dialogue is we continue to see, hear, and experience things from outside of us, from other people and other sources and other places, and go, oh my God.
really? We do that? No.
that Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to do that anymore. Okay, maybe that wasn't the right thing for that person, but that doesn't mean that it's not right for you. A perfect example. If you smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol, you're going to have a shortened life. George Burns, for those of you that are old enough to remember who he was, and if not, look him up. George Burns and Gracie Allen, his wife. George Burns lived to be over 100 years old, and every single day that man smoked a cigar or
Yeah.
cigars,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a glass or two or three, or maybe five, of whiskey. So if it were true, in reality, that man should have passed away when he was 40.
Yeah.
He lived to be 100 or more. Now, that's not to say that what he did is right for you. And my point in this being, this is why it's so important to connect with yourself, connect with and harmonize as best as you can all those different aspects of self, and really define what works best for you and what doesn't. And what anybody else says, what anybody else thinks, whatever is being spouted and touted out there, leave it out there. Acknowledge it, accept that that was what works for other people, but it's not necessarily what works for me. And so I can continue to flow. I don't have to be in resistance. I can experience joyfulness. I can be in gratitude, even if it's not popular because somebody else is going through a unfortunate situation. I can empathize with you. I can assist and serve to help in that situation, or to provide, in that tragedy. Of course, I'm now thinking about the LA fires,
Mm.
but it doesn't mean that I have to take on the rhetoric, the feelings, the sense of what everyone else is saying should happen, and how I need to do this and do that. I don't have to take all of that on. Nobody does. None of us do. So anyway, it is important to like put down your sword. I'm asking everyone, just put
But
down your sword.
it doesn't have to be a fight.
Doesn't have to be a fight.
Yeah, I'm just
Doesn't
like
have to be a struggle.
in this conversation, I think the thing that I've walked away with is it doesn't have to be a fight.
Right.
Like it doesn't have to be a fight. You can come from a place of gratitude, connect
Mm-hmm.
to the whatever it is you declare you have the intention for your life,
Mm-hmm.
to literally put on the cone of silence. I'm aging myself now, put the cone of silence on,
Mm-hmm.
forget smart, and then just be in a place where you can let go of everything else and
Mm-hmm.
create from that place. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting, one of the greatest places to do that is through meditation, to just let your mind quiet, let it open up to whatever's there, to let go of the resistance. And I would say another thing that can help people is to journal. That helps a lot, to just get it all out, and just, yeah. But I
There's
like
so many ways. Yes,
slow
there's so many
down.
ways to just release.
Yeah.
And the way that I learn meditation, and part of my meditation, although I've incorporated other things into it as well, but one of the biggest things is learning how to release, and doing it so consistently
Hmm.
where it is a habit. You wake up in the morning and you're going to brush your teeth. You don't even think about, I'm not going to brush. You don't forget to brush. It's like, because after a while you're like, ooh, okay, I need to brush my teeth, right? So when you practice releasing and letting go, and there are specific ways and techniques in which to do that, what happens is over time, and I have found with me doing this over 40 years, when I move into a certain place where I have a lot of anxiousness, or I have different thoughts or feelings that are not productive to how I want to move forward, I immediately not only use that technique, but I immediately think, Lynn, let it go. And as soon as I think, let it go, it's gone
Mm,
because I have been practicing it for so long that even the thought, even the me saying out loud, Lynn, let it go, is let go of. I don't hold on to it anymore.
mm,
And so that's something that I feel that, when we were talking at the beginning of all of this conversation in terms of consistency, be consistent in letting go of those energies, the feelings, the thoughts, the whatever it is that comes up for you in a certain moment that you believe is restricting, holding back, holding down yourself from moving forward in the way in which you choose to move forward. And so when you learn how to let go of that and then find your joyful place or places in terms of thoughts that can emote the feelings, or you connect with the feelings that then may bring up certain visuals and memories. However you do it, as you start doing those things, you'll find that you will be, and of course, gratitude for all of it, no matter what you're experiencing,
mhm.
no matter how awful it feels or how magnificent it feels, still be grateful for the experience because it allows room for growth and to transcend. We're all here to keep transcending and transcending and transcending and transcending. And so be grateful for that process, whatever it feels like, looks like, thinks like, is like. And then you move to a place where you pretty much flow. You
And
can let go.
and I think this is where we round up our conversation because
Yes.
I think this was a wonderful conversation to have. And for those who are listening in, please like, comment, share if you're watching on on YouTube, if you're on Spotify or listening in, we'd love for you to share this, share your thoughts. We want to know, do you have any questions? Are there any topics you want us to talk about? Because, we're here for you. Or
Exactly.
or literally we're just pressing record to normal conversations that we have. By the way, these conversations that we're having, I want to let you know, are not just something we show up and record. This is precursor to every one of our meetings. I think every time we come to work together, we are actually like, oh, so what's going on with you, and what's going on with you, and then we have all of these elevated conversations. And I'm so blessed because I get to walk away being elevated in not only just my personal life, but also my business life and all of these things. So, you know, we're just pulling the curtain back to conversations
Letting you see, right.
that we have all
Well,
the time. Because let me tell you, we have like maybe a 30-minute meeting scheduled, which or regularly turns into an hour and a half of let's talk about this, this thing that's going on and this thing that's going on. And I love it. And I'm so grateful. So
and I
thank
do
you.
too.
Thank you
I
for
do
all of
too.
you. Thank you
Yes.
for you. Thank you for all of you who listen in. And hey, if you want to be a part of the conversation, check out our website at miraclesuwresources.com. You will find a way to connect with us, to be part of the podcast, be part of the conversation, be part of our community. We invite you. All are welcome. And until next time, bye for now. Thank you for joining us today on Healers Talk Healing. We hope you've been inspired and empowered on your holistic healing journey. If you've enjoyed today's episode and want to continue learning and growing with us, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, and review our podcast. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, healing is a lifelong journey, and you have the power to transform your life in profound ways. Stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop believing in your own capacity for healing.